Alright, let's dive into something that's got me absolutely buzzing, the latest episode of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. Now, I've been a Trekkie for years, but this show keeps finding ways to surprise me. And this time? They've given us what might be the most unexpected origin story for one of the most iconic relationships in sci-fi history, Kirk and Spock. But here's the kicker, it's not just unexpected, it's downright bizarre. And personally, I think that's what makes it brilliant. So, let's start with the hook. Imagine Spock, the epitome of Vulcan logic, completely inebriated, thinking he's hallucinating James T. Kirk. Sounds like a fanfiction gone wild, right? But what makes this really interesting is how Strange New Worlds uses this absurd premise to explore something deeper. It's not just about the laughs, though there are plenty of those, it's about how these two characters, who are so different, start to connect in a way that feels genuine. And in my opinion, that's where the show shines. It's not afraid to take risks, even if it means bending the rules of canon. Now, let's talk about the structure of this episode. It's essentially a buddy comedy wrapped in a Star Trek adventure, and it works surprisingly well. You've got Scotty and Ortegas on this wild shore leave, which is hilarious in its own right, but the real magic happens when Spock and Kirk are left to their own devices. What many people don't realize is that this episode isn't just about the hijinks, it's about vulnerability. Spock, under the influence, drops his guard completely. He's not the stoic Vulcan we're used to, he's emotional, open, and, dare I say, human. And Kirk? He's just along for the ride, but in a way that feels authentic to his character. One thing that immediately stands out is how this episode subverts expectations. Instead of the usual slow burn of their friendship, we get this accelerated, almost surreal version of it. Spock thinks Kirk is a hallucination, so he spills his guts, no filters, no protocols. From my perspective, this is a genius move. It's like the writers said, let's fast forward to the heart of their relationship and see what happens. And what happens is both hilarious and heartwarming. They play chess, they hug, they bond over their shared sense of being outsiders. It's a detail I find fascinating, how the show uses this absurd scenario to highlight the core of their connection. But here's where it gets tricky. This episode raises a deeper question, will this actually stick? Will the show follow through on this development, or will it be swept under the rug in the next episode? Personally, I think this is where Strange New Worlds needs to tread carefully. If you take a step back and think about it, the Kirk-Spock dynamic has been mishandled before, looking at you, J.J. Abrams. In those films, their relationship felt forced, like the writers were checking a box. What this really suggests is that Strange New Worlds has a chance to do it right, to build on this foundation and show how their friendship evolves naturally. What makes this even more compelling is how the show balances fan service with meaningful storytelling. Yes, it's indulgent, having Kirk and Spock bond like this is a dream come true for fans. But it's also an opportunity to explore their characters in a new light. Spock's vulnerability and Kirk's willingness to just go with the flow reveal new layers to both of them. In my opinion, that's what great storytelling does, it gives us something we want while also surprising us. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Strange New Worlds has been playing with genre and tone since its inception, and this episode is no exception. It's part stoner comedy, part character study, and part love letter to the franchise. What this really suggests is that the show isn't afraid to experiment, even if it means taking risks with established lore. And honestly, I'm here for it. It keeps the show fresh and exciting, and it reminds us why we fell in love with Star Trek in the first place. So, where do we go from here? I'm hoping the show leans into this development. Let's see Kirk and Spock acknowledge this weird, wonderful experience and build on it. Let's see their friendship grow in a way that feels earned, not forced. If they can pull that off, this episode won't just be a fun detour, it'll be a pivotal moment in the series. And as a fan, that's what I'm rooting for. In closing, this episode is a reminder of why Strange New Worlds is such a standout in the Star Trek universe. It's bold, it's creative, and it's not afraid to take chances. Personally, I think that's the key to its success. So, here's my question for you. Do you think this episode will be a one-off, or will it set the stage for something bigger? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts.